Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Random Shit. Random Guy, as always, I'm your host, Phil, and we are back after 1 week's absence due to the internet. If you notice, the color of the room has changed. I'm in a completely different location now, so the setup behind me will evolve, doing a little spooky Halloween shit for right now, but we are back, and there has been a lot going on in the wrestling world in the last 7 days, well, I guess 14 now, and we're going to hop right on it. I want to start off hot, because I got some shit to say. We are going to talk about the NXT Showdown. That's right, NXT Showdown took place on Tuesday, up against Title Tuesday with AEW. Nothing really happened on the AEW show worth talking about, so I didn't really go into it. The only thing really that I wanted to talk about that happened on Tuesday is the big news. The way they started NXT Showdown. Now, if you don't know, NXT Showdown was NXT versus TNA. They started the show with the NXT versus TNA tag titles, where the Hardy Boyz, the fucking Hardy Boyz, just won the NXT tag team titles. That's right. The NXT tag team titles are now held by the Hardy Boyz, who is Matt Hardy of 51 years old, and Jeff Hardy, I believe, is 48 or 49 years old. You heard that correct. The developmental titles for NXT are currently held by TNA talent. Now, it's not just TNA talent. It's future WWE Hall of Fame TNA talent, Matt and Jeff, the Hardys. Now, normally I would not really care. I mean, to be honest, it's cool to see them pad that the stats, you know. They got another title. They're still fucking rolling at 50 years old, don't get me wrong. But how are you supposed to build talent in WWE by putting the titles on a 51-year-old and a 48-year-old? Now, the match opened the show. They didn't even give this match 15 minutes. I mean, it was quick. Dark State's group, there's 4 members of Dark State. If you don't watch NXT, and if you don't, I don't blame you. I don't watch it regularly. I don't watch TNA regularly. As you can tell, TNA is actually on television right now, and I'm here talking with you. So I do catch up on TNA through social media. Like, the big reason I want to talk about TNA tonight is because Bound for Glory is on Sunday at 7 p.m. It is their version of WrestleMania. It's their all in. It's their all out. It's a big show for them. But because of this WWE TNA crossover, it's an even bigger deal. And the big match, and I believe it, if it's not the main event, it should be, is this Saturday. The Hardys, your NXT and TNA champions, are taking on Team 3D, the Dudley Boyz, in what's been billed as their final match. Now, I don't believe for a second that this is their final match, and here's why. This is going to be a tables match, and yeah, you're going to see tables. It's the fucking Dudleys. People's going to be crashing through them. I don't know how good the Dudleys are going to look. And the reason why is Devon Dudley's had a lot of health problems, a lot of surgeries. He's not been in the ring a lot in the last couple years. And as a tune-up for this match, the Dudleys tagged with Matt Cardona and Brian Myers at Creator Pro this past weekend, and Devon didn't even wrestle. So I don't know if they're just holding him for the pay-per-view on Saturday, or if they're just going to let it all roll there. Can he wrestle? Is he just going to throw somebody through a table? Like, I don't know. But I do know that the NXT and the TNA tag titles are now both on the line, winner take all, in a tables match, the Dudleys versus the Hardys. You heard that correct. The Dudleys versus the Hardys in 2025. A few weeks ago, we were talking about Edge and Christian in 2025. That is insane. I cannot believe that we are getting those two teams in one match where one guy can barely fucking walk. But hey, that's TNA, right? TNA does a lot of stupid shit. But I guess maybe they're trying to make up for the fact that two TNA talent are the current, two NXT talent are the current TNA champions. So they're like, hey, let's give the titles to the Hardys. They're trying to build the Hardy, or not building the Hardys, but maybe, I don't know, because like, what does NXT gain from the Hardys having that? And more importantly, what does NXT gain if the Dudley Boys win that? And honestly, the reason I think the Dudleys might win is I don't think they're done. With that Saudi Arabia show coming up, I see the Dudleys pulling out that fucking camo, those stupid glasses, and they're going to be back for WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia in 2 years. I think every 100-year-old dinosaur is going to be out there. You're going to see Kane choke slamming people again. You know, I don't understand the reasoning for bringing the NXT titles into this. Again, NXT is their developmental brand, and I understand they got to sell tickets on CW. And bringing in the Hardys is great for it, but that was the Hardys' third match in NXT. 3. It's insane that they are bringing that out. And like Boogie says here from Talking Vols Network, it sounds like an indie show at a VFW, not a Mania. Right. So why the fuck is it headlining? There's no reason for this to be headlining any show, really. But definitely not headlining unless if it's their retirement match. If it's really their retirement match, sure. But you should not have the Dudleys and the Hardys for any titles, let alone two companies' titles. That just seems crazy. Now, I have one theory that possibly it is the last time and they're wanting to kind of reshuffle the deck. Maybe they're going to pull a Sting and Darby. Sting and Darby won the titles and went off into the sunset as Sting retired at Revolution in 2024. And then they did a tournament to set that up and start all over. Now, that is a possibility. One of the things that maybe they pull out the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic or tournament, whatever it's called, and the winner of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team gets the NXT titles. They do some kind of fucking bullshit in TNA. Who knows what they'll do there. But maybe. But you have two teams over 50 years old. And you got two titles on the line in what's supposed to be a final tag team match together. Now, again, I do not believe this is the final time we'll see them. I think we're going to see fucking Mania. I think it's going to be old guy Mania. I think I wouldn't doubt you see Billy Gunn get out of his AEW deal and he's back in WWE with fucking Road Dogg in 2027. 2027 in Saudi Arabia. That's what I see happening. I'm probably wrong. I pray I'm wrong, but that's just crazy. But let's get into a little bit more of this Bound for Glory card. Like I said, Bound for Glory, they're on the fucking Fight Network. Like, they don't even have real pay-per-view anymore, which they're trying to get TV. It's a whole nother story. But I'm going to go over some of the title matches on the card. Like I said, you got the Hardys versus the Dudleys. I think that is the main event. This takes place on Sunday at 7 p.m. The TNA World Title match. The match that should have happened in New York when they broke the fucking record for TNA for most attendance in the North America. Trick Williams versus Mike Santana. Trick Williams is, again, this is an NXT versus TNA. Trick Williams, an WWE talent who should be on the WWE roster and out of TNA, is the current TNA champion. Trick Williams, like I said, NXT, WWE talent, world champion, TNA. Going up against the man who's carried the fucking brand for TNA the last couple weeks, months, year, since Joe Hendry's gone basically to to NXT. God, I'm getting this shit so confused because it's basically NXT now. It's not even TNA or NXT, it's NXT. But you got Trick Williams versus Mike Santana. If Mike Santana does not win the TNA World Championship, they don't need to worry about getting a TV deal. They don't need to worry about anything. They need to shut the fucking doors. This is the time. It's already been the time. Mike Santana should be carrying that fucking title out of Lowell, Massachusetts. Another NXT versus TNA match. You have Kalani Jordan, a WWE TNA talent, who is currently the Knockouts World Champion, going against Indy Hartwell, who is a TNA wrestler now, former WWE wrestler, former NXT talent. But Indy Hartwell has been killing it on the indies. She's been killing it for TNA. I think they need to reshuffle the deck and all TNA talent gets the titles back. Up next, you got Frankie Kazarian, a TNA longtime man, versus Steve Macklin for the TNA International Championship. This will be the barn burner of the night. This should be the best technical wrestling match of the night. I've been a huge fan of Frankie Kazarian from before the SCU days when he was in TNA. Steve Macklin, since joining TNA when it was Impact, fucking amazing. I believe he's the current champion, but I don't care who wins that one. I think it's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a fun show. Trying to burn through this because I got a lot of stuff tonight. Up next, we got The Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay. You guys might know them as the Iconics from WWE. They are the current TNA Knockout Tag Team Champions, who, going into this show, their contracts are up in TNA this week. Going up against Heather by Elegance and M by Elegance, the group that was with the former Dana Brooke who just retired. I hate their fucking names, but I think you're going to have Heather and M get the title just because I think you're going to see Jessie McKay and Cassie Lee go back to the WWE. I think the Inspiration is going to be the Iconics, and I think they might go to TNA because... Not TNA. I think they're going to be in NXT instead of WWE because Cassie Lee is married to Shawn Spears, who's running things over there. I would not be shocked if you see the Iconics pop up again on NXT and you have new TNA tag champs. But I know a lot of you guys weren't here for the TNA talk because most people don't fucking watch TNA. I know like I said, I watch the big cards. I watch Bound for Glory. I don't even remember the names of the other ones. I watch the big ones, though, that are actually on pay-per-view. I don't watch the small ones. There's no point. It's really tough to get into TNA because it's pre-recorded. It's a lot of the same old bullshit every fucking week. So it's tough. But now it's like even harder because you got NXT mixed in and there's too much fucking wrestling. I mean, I'll just say that. It's hard to keep up with everything. But I like to watch the big shows. I like to know what's going on. And I'm a huge fan of the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, Brian Myers, Matt Cardona, and that's really the only places you can watch them wrestle now other than on the indies. So I always try and keep up with matches of the system. The system's on the pay-per-view as well, but I only wanted to cover title matches because I think there's like 8 to 10 matches on that show. You're going to go from 8 to 10 match show to waking up at fucking 8 a.m., you heard that correct, 8 a.m. start time for the WWE Crown Jewel from Perth, Australia. 8 a.m. I'm not getting up at 8 a.m. to watch wrestling. I'm just not. I'm not fucking doing it. If you're on the West Coast, you got to get up at 5 a.m. Can you imagine getting up at 5 a.m. and being like, yeah, I want to watch that. Now, I am going to watch the show. That's the great thing about these PLEs, especially on Netflix. If you've got a VPN or on ESPN, you can watch them when they're fucking done. That's what I plan on doing. I plan on waking up about 2 o'clock, watching Crown Jewel, maybe eating some cereal. Definitely not getting up at 8 a.m. for this shit. But the Crown Jewel has become the annual winner champion versus champion show. Now there's 5 matches on this show. The big one is the undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes taking on the world heavyweight champion Seth freaking Rollins. I do believe this is the time Seth Rollins beats Cody Rhodes. Cody don't need it. They're building a bigger story with Seth. I think you're going to have some interference, some fucking bullshit, but I think you're going to see that giant ass belt if they bring it over. You're going to see Seth Rollins carrying a ring out of Crown Jewel this year. That's what I'm calling right now. The women's title, 2 fresher faces. The women's champs right now. It's good to see young fucking talent. Like you got 2 40-year-olds as the men's champions. They're 2 people I want to say under. They're definitely under 30. They may be under 25 with the women's Crown Jewel championship match of Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's Champion, versus the Women's World Champion, Stephanie Valkyrie. Stephanie Valkyrie has just been starting to get this rise, but I think it's Tiffy time. I think Tiffany Stratton is going to take home that way. You give one win to Raw, 1 win to SmackDown. Everybody goes home happy there. You're going to have an Australian street fight because you can't have a pay-per-view without a hardcore match. You got to have plunder on every show. They're fun. I love them. You got to have it. And the Australian street fight is between Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed, member of the Vision, is from New Zealand, which is right next to Australia. So it makes sense. Bronson took out Roman at the last pay-per-view after Roman won. The Tribal Thief versus the Tribal Chief. Too bad they made him take his Jordans off the shirt. That was fucking cool seeing those. I think it was Jordan 4s on the shirt, but Nike was like, "Nuh-uh, we ain't making money off that. Get rid of it." Which is weird because they got a partnership with WWE with Roman Reigns, but they definitely weren't having that. Roman took the last one. Roman comes out for the pay-per-views. He don't even wrestle on regular TV anymore. Since Roman took the last one, I think they're going to ride him off again until time for Survivor Series next month. And I think that'll give him a reason to be part of one of the War Games matches. Maybe. I don't know. I would love to see a War Games match without him, to be honest. But there's a possibility that's the direction we're going. So I'm going Bronson Reed, 2 wins for the Vision in the Australian street fight. Plus, it's basically his hometown. It's not, but it is. Another hometown match, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Asuka and Kairi Sane. This match has been building for the last couple months with Asuka and Kairi healing it up. I mean, Asuka has been doing some of her best character work this year. Now, match-wise, she's not been as active because it's basically been a lot of backstage promos, but her character work, being an asshole who's like, oh, I got your back, but I don't, to Io Sky, and then Rhea Ripley being like, hey, let's team up against them. It gives Rhea a reason to be on the show. She can't go, there's no title for her to go up for. You don't always need your big stars to go for a title. Sometimes a superstar tag team match is what you need. That's what they needed here. I'm going Rhea Ripley, Io Sky over the Kabuki Warriors. And then the big match of the night, the most fun match of the night, it's going to be John Cena versus AJ Styles. The match with zero television prep, zero appearances from John Cena, completely created on Twitter when he called him out. I think they're basically setting up to, he's got like 4 appearances left after this one. 2 of those are pay-per-views. I don't even think he's going to be on television again after Survivor Series. So who knows what they're going to do for his last match. I did hear rumor that they might do a tournament for the last match, a tournament to see who faces him in his last match. I think that would be a really cool idea because as of right now, there are some names. I still would love to have saw him beat as shitty as this year with John Cena's been. My way to get out of this shitty year and end it on top. And I know people aren't going to agree with this. After seeing Sting go out on top, I'm all about that shit. I want to see him beat Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental title. The one title John Cena has never held. I want to see it. Do an Intercontinental title, tournament, whatever. But I would love to see John Cena pull out the win in his last match. Let people go home happy. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I know Hunter does not like having... I don't think Hunter likes people. I don't think he likes letting people go home happy. I think he just likes to piss people off. Whether it was sometimes he just gets in his own fucking way. Like the we want Cross shit, and he's like, then he lets Cross walk, and then he's like, oh, you guys, we want Brock. Well, Brock will be back. No, they were saying we want Cross. So it's like, oh, well, we're going to do pay-per-view press conferences, and then, oh, it looks bad, so we're going to stop. These are all things I believe Hunter's involved with. Hunter is making himself the Dana White of the WWE, and that, to me, is fucking insane. Since I brought up the Dana White, let's move to our UFC news for the week. The White House card has been confirmed by President Trump to go down on June 14th at the White House. Trump said in a speech in Norfolk, Virginia this past week, on June 14th next year, we're going to have a big UFC fight at the White House, right at the White House grounds. This will coincide with what I thought was going to be the 250th anniversary of the country, which would have made sense doing it on July 4th weekend. I get it. That's probably not the safest thing to do. A big fight in D.C. on the 4th. There's a lot of people come there on the 4th, but you're going to have a lot of people come into D.C. for this fight. Instead, we're going to do it for the Oompa Loompas' birthday. His 80th birthday happens that same weekend, so I guess this was lined up as everybody thought it was going to be UFC 250th anniversary. No, this is Dana White having a birthday party for his friend at the White House, which, I mean, it's going to be cool as shit to see the White House card. Dana White has said already that the weigh-ins for this fight will take place at the Lincoln Memorial, and they're going to have this in the front lawn of the White House. It's going to cost $700,000 just to replace the grass after they have this thing. The fighters are going to walk to the octagon from the Oval Office. It's going to be cool as shit. That's the one UFC card that I'm looking forward to this year because there's not a lot of UFC to look forward to. Some things with the UFC that I enjoy is Dana talking more than the actual fights because I don't know who the fuck the fighters are anymore because there aren't a lot of superstars. But one superstar that I want to see on this card is Conor fucking McGregor. I don't care if he gets beat. I would love this to be his retirement fight. Conor McGregor versus Chandler. McGregor Chandler. That's what I want. I don't care if they're the main event. That's the fight I want. But Conor McGregor's got himself in a wee bit of trouble, as Conor McGregor has missed a bunch of tests in 2024 and has failed a performance test. Their drug testing. Now, he didn't fail because of negative samples. The UFC has a rule where they have to know where you are 24/7, 7 days a week, can test you any fucking time they want. And if you fail to appear for 3 tests in a 6-month period, you're out. You're suspended. So Conor McGregor has accepted a suspension, a 2-year suspension that is retroactive back to his last failed drug test appearance. So the sanction will basically last for 4 months because he missed drug test on June 13th of 2024. He missed a drug test on September 19th, 2024 and September 20th of September 2024. Now, that doesn't mean he failed any drug test. It means they could not get a hold of him. He's probably on a fucking yacht in the middle of the ocean and didn't tell him. They've literally got on boats and went to see him. That's how crazy this shit is. Boogie, you are correct. There are too many UFC fights and not enough fighters. There's not drawing power. That's why they need Conor McGregor on this card. And even though he'll be under suspension, Conor McGregor's suspension started on September 20th, retroactive of 2024, and will end on March 20th, 2026. Just a mere April, May, June, 3 months before he has to walk the path to the octagon, walk out of the Oval Office in Washington, D.C. in front of President Trump. That's what I want to see. I want to see Conor there. I want to see John Jones there. I want to see the biggest fight card of the year at the White House. I've been preaching this for the last couple of weeks. I'm going to be preaching it until June 13th. I want the biggest fucking UFC card right there. I wouldn't. They could put on every damn title and ruin their year as long as that card is fucking great. And I want to see Conor on that. But yeah, he did accept a drug suspension. I said that in air quotes because he didn't fail a test. He just didn't show up to take the test. The man hasn't fought in 4 fucking years. His last fight, I believe, is in 2021 when he broke his leg. Now, he's been very busy in the fight game. He bought bare knuckle boxing. He's fucking trying to run for president in Ireland. Like, he's busy. But shit, I want this to be the last Conor McGregor fight. I want him to announce, hey, I'm retiring from MMA. And then he can go box. He can go jerk off in the corner for all I care. I just want one more fight from Conor McGregor, and I want it to be at the White House. I would love to see him win it. I don't know. He's not won a fight in a while. But the build up to this card with him running his fucking mouth to walk out of the Oval Office and into the octagon, that's what I want to see. Transitioning back to wrestling, AEW had a show yesterday. This week's all screwed up. It's the MLB playoffs, which is affecting everything, but it's definitely affecting AEW because the MLB playoffs take place on Turner on TNT and TBS. So they had Dynamite on Tuesday night for Title Tuesday. Then they recorded Saturday's show from Jacksonville last night for Collision. And there is a spoiler come out that it's a big fucking deal. Kota Ibushi, Tony Khan's favorite fucking wrestler, was stretchered out of the event with a leg injury. It's a pretty serious one. They're saying that Kota Ibushi is going to be out for a while. The reason this is so big is he has just come back from an injury, and then before that, just come back from an injury. Now, Kota Ibushi, one of the biggest Japanese stars, part of the Golden something with Kenny Omega. I can't even remember what they were called. One of Kenny Omega's closest friends, training partners, they trained together to get Kenny back from the diverticulitis, whatever his stomach shit. And like I said, he's signed to a New Japan deal. He's also signed to an AEW deal. I would love to see how this is going to play out. He's getting up there in age. He's in his 40s. He's had all kinds of injuries. He's had head injuries, back injuries. Rumor has it this might be a fucking broken leg. Can he come back, and will he be Kota Ibushi? I'm going to say no. I don't think he's Kota Ibushi now. So it just sucks because this was a fight against Josh Alexander. I don't think I don't see them showing that on Collision. I really don't. I wouldn't show it. I would just say an injury happened and then move on and show something else. There's no reason to show the match that you had to have him literally carted out in. That just makes no sense to me. Show a backstage, kill some time, do what you got to do, but don't do that. Now, one of the things I did want to talk about with AEW involves this right here. AEW comic books. This is the AEW Origins DC comic that they gave out a few years. I know the glare kind of is awful. This right here is an origin story of Tony Storm, Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy, Swerve Strickland, Britt Baker, and Darby Allin. This was a promo book that was given out. This book was so successful that AEW is teaming up with DC Comics once again for a DC Comics crossover. It's going to be written by Steve Orlando, art by Travis Mercer, art by Lucas Myers. This is a big deal. I mean, the comics world, I come from the comics world. That's how this show started. I'm a wrestling fan. I continue it. That's why we talk about wrestling now. But I still buy comics, and I still buy wrestling comics. And it's important to note that both AEW and DC Comics are both under the Warner Brother Discovery banner. So they're partnering. This is something I'm sure Warner Brothers they love putting DC stuff on AEW. So it's going to be really cool to see that. But it's going to be a crossover book, two issues. The wrestlers that are going to be included in the book series this time are going to be Mercedes Moné, Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, Swerve Strickland, the champion Hangman Adam Page, Timeless Tony Storm, Willow Nightingale, Orange Cassidy, and Kenny Omega will be featured in the comic. But they will be teaming up or going against DC characters, Aquaman, Batman, Nightwing, the Green Lanterns. You're going to have Guy Gardner in this book, Jon Stewart in this book. You're going to have Hawkgirl, Zatanna, Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman. This is going to be a old school crossover like the Algorithm I think it's algorithm, whatever it was, when they would have like Batman and Spider-Man in the same book, or those kind of crossovers. That's what this is going to be. There's going to be a free preview if you are at New York Comic Con, which is going on right now. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Javits Center in room 409, they're going to be doing an announcement to announce this book. It's going to be a panel. Tony Khan's going to be there. John Moxley, Swerve Strickland, Orange Cassidy, Willow Nightingale are going to be joined up with Steve Orlando and Travis Mercer. It's going to be moderated by Frankie Smith. They're going to discuss a look at where the world of wrestling and the world of comics converge inside of AEW. I cannot be more excited about this. This is the one time I've got to talk about comics in a long fucking time, and I can't wait to get this book. I'm going to track down a copy because they are giving away preview copies on Saturday, signed at the Javits Center at the DC booth. That's 4365 if you're going to be at New York Comic Con. DC booth 4365. You can go there this Saturday, get a signed copy of the book from John Moxley, Willow Nightingale, Swerve Strickland, and Orange Cassidy, along with Steve Orlando, Lucas Myers, and Travis Mercer. Now, if you want to get a copy of that, you do have to be in line Saturday morning at the DC booth between 10 and 11 to get a wristband. But holy shit, 2-issue comic. I'm sure it'll be out in a couple of weeks. I want to get the preview comic. I'd love to get a signed copy. That probably won't happen. But I want to get the preview comic. I want to get the regular 2 issues. Who knows? If this is successful, you may get more. So that's just exciting as shit to me, and I can't wait to see what's going to go on there. There's so much going on at New York Comic Con this weekend. You have the Major Brothers with Collect Major there. They have 3 exclusives. They have a Brian Myers Big Rubber Guy. They also have a Matt and Brian, Major Stars, which is kind of like a Funko Pop of vinyl in their red, white, and blue gear, all available. I think the Brian is to 100, maybe 300, and the others to 300. There's not a lot of copies of each figure being made, so make sure you stop by the Major booth. Wrestling is going to be all over New York Comic Con, so if you're going to New York Comic Con, make sure you stop by the Major booth. A lot of independent toy companies are there. I want to say Zombie Sailor's there. I know for a fact, what is the name of that? Grapplers and Gimmicks is there with Hastel Toys. There's going to be several signings going on. If you're in New York Comic Con, make sure you hit that up if you're a wrestling fan. If you are a fan of Dark Side of the Ring, it will be returning for a 7th season on Vice. Dark Side of the Ring, I think, is the best wrestling documentaries they are out there today. And I am a wrestling documentary fan. I have a ton of wrestling VHSs, DVDs, and I love what Vice has done. Mike Johnson from PW Insider reported the news. Now, Vice has yet to confirm this, but the series is actively working on new episodes and filming in Louisville, Kentucky right now. Now, if you wonder, who would be recording in Louisville, Kentucky with Vice and Dark Side of the Ring? That would be Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette has been a talking head for this series from day one. He's helped them out a lot in promoting it on his podcast. So if they're already recording with Jim Cornette, this is coming back for a 7th season for sure. They're not going to be recording all that shit and letting it go. Some more news from the world of wrestling. If you guys have kept up, I've been talking about Rajah Jackson showing up at Knox Pro, an independent show, and basically beating the shit out of Psycho Stu. Now, finally, a couple weeks ago, he got arrested. Well, he went out on bail, and finally charges were pressed. as he is currently pled not guilty for charges against Psycho Stu, even though it's on fucking camera. But I mean, you gotta say not guilty or you can't do that. The charges he's up against is 1 count of felony battery that caused serious bodily harm and 1 count of misdemeanor battery. I thought this was going to be assault, but it's battery. Either way, felony charges. I really hope they don't try and pull in it was a work brother. Because in the news article that was in California that I read to get this news from, really went into the fact of, was they working? Was they not? Was one in character? Did one think they weren't in character? It's scary to think that you're going to have that brought into this world, if that makes any sense. I don't want the courts to be involved in pro wrestling. There's a lot of things that happen in wrestling that aren't, if they were happening in the real world, yeah, it'd be fucking assault. Hell, Darby Allin would have got charges for catching John Moxley on fire. You would have had arson charges when Swerve Strickland's house got burnt down by Hangman Adam Page. So I don't want the wrestling world to get drug into that because of this independent show and Rajah Jackson being a fucking dumbass. Now, Rajah Jackson deserves any charges he gets. He does. Let's face it. He literally attacked a man. He slammed him and then beat the shit out of him repeatedly until somebody pulled him off. It was disgusting. I saw the video. And then Rajah Jackson he just kept running his mouth and he live streamed the whole thing. That's why I don't understand how he can get out of this. Now, Rajah Jackson is the son of Rampage Jackson. Rampage has been a hothead in his day as well. So I want there to be justice in this case, but I don't want it to bring down wrestling at the same time. But I'm going to keep on this case until it's over with. Like I said, Rajah Jackson has been finally charged. He's pled not guilty. He's out on a $50,000 bond. We'll see where that goes. Now, we are to the weird news of the week. And the weird news of the week is still in the wrestling world. A story come out this week that 2 people in San Diego have been arrested after a police investigation led by officers come to a home packed full of stolen wrestling figures. That's right, you heard me. A police investigation was taken to a home of 2 people, Brittany Gomez, age 36, and Miguel Dominguez, age 52, for stealing wrestling figures. Now, they let this go for a while because they walked into this house and there was more than $1,000 worth of wrestling figures that had been stolen. Now, this has been happening for a while because they said they had a lead to recover numerous wrestling figures stolen from both Target and Walmart in San Diego. The haul was way over that. Now, they believe that these people stole these figures to sell them. I wouldn't doubt this is a whatnot seller because you have a lot of whatnot sellers out there with a lot of new merchandise and they're selling it fucking cheap and they don't care if they sell it cheap. Now, I've been known to sell stuff cheap, but I don't want to lose money. And some of those people are losing money. And I'm wondering if that's what this was. But it's crazy that a full investigation over toys was made. And it not only got so big that it went as a nationwide story over toys being stolen. That's, as a toy collector, I am shocked. And how do you just go off, do you go off the value of the toys at that time? Because sometimes you can sit on them and I know Walmart likes to let people steal a couple times before they do it so that they can get a real charge. That is a real thing. They'll catch people stealing and get it up to enough to be a felony charge instead of a misdemeanor, then they'll press charges. But the fact that Walmart and Target together went into this and was like, nah, we're going to take these people down. And the fact that it was over wrestling figures. And the article went into like all kinds of like how wrestling figures are worth this and that, and how an Ultimate Warrior figure, they didn't steal that shit. But the picture they sold, it looked like a collector's home. Like it looks like when my shit's set up, that's what their stolen collection looked like. It did look like a Whatnot seller. I don't know that it was a Whatnot seller. I don't want to throw Whatnot under the bus. I've sold on Whatnot. It was probably an eBay seller. Who the fuck knows? But either way, you had these two going in for a while. You have to steal a lot of wrestling figures to get to $1,000 worth of wrestling figures. Let's face it. Every 4 is $100. If you steal Ultimates, that's $40. So every 2 of those, they had Ultimates. They had basics. They had everything. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, like behind me on this side, those are AEW Jazzwares figures that are the equivalent of a WWE Elite. They're called Unmatched, Unrivaled. They also have, there's also Ultimates, which is a more detailed figure and has more articulation. It has more extra heads, extra merch. It's a little bit more expensive. Those are almost a $50 figure now. Action figures have gone through the roof since tariffs. Like the tariffs have killed the action figure market to where a figure that when I started collecting was like $19.99 is now $25 to $28. A figure that was $28 is now $39. And that's not including the exclusives. That's not including secondhand market. That's just new prices. The fact that the kids' toy, the basics, which is limited articulation, it's made for children, but it's still like, I've got plenty. Like it's not, they're all made for kids, but like these are not geared to the collector market. Those were at one time $9.99 or less. They're starting at $12. They throw a belt on them, they're charging $20. It's insane to see how much the market has changed on toys in the last little bit, especially this year because of tariffs and inflation. That's for another day. Hopefully, I am working on getting us a podcast on collectibles in the next couple weeks. I have a good friend. He's a TikToker who I went to high school with that specializes in sports cards. Now, I figure between his knowledge of sports cards, my knowledge of comics and action figures, we can have a intelligent conversation about collecting, and I thought that was something you guys might like. So hopefully in the next little bit we'll have a live stream. I want to promote the shit out of it once it's confirmed in the date. Having Lance on and talking about action figures, comics, and most importantly sports cards, because this man has some insane sports cards. I'm talking Brady rookies. He's got a nice collection, and he talks about it each and every week. He literally is on TikTok every day under Parlay Collectibles on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. So if you are a sports cards fan, hit his page up. Hopefully we'll have him on in the next couple weeks. If you guys are a wrestling fan and want to be a guest on the show, and you are a knowledgeable wrestling fan, hit me up. I'm always looking for guests. I'm always looking to grow this show. I want to keep it towards wrestling as of now, but who knows? We may go back to doing more pop culture stuff in the future. I really want to review this Mark Kerr movie with The Rock. So hopefully I can see that in the next little bit, and I'll put a video up of that. But I am rambling, and that's all we got for this week. It's going to be a big weekend of pay-per-views or PLEs. I'll never stop calling them a pay-per-view. They're pay-per-views to me, damn it. But you have Bound for Glory on Sunday, Dudley's versus Hardy's, and then you had John Cena versus AJ Styles one last time in Perth, maybe the first time, I can't remember. But AJ and Cena from Perth on Saturday at 8 a.m. That's all we got, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I hope you guys check us out. Like I said, I forgot to do this at the beginning, so I'm going to do it at the end probably. If you guys made it this far, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I meant to do that at the beginning, but we need to help grow this channel. Like, share it with your friends, family, cousins, uncles. I don't care. Got to get those subscriptions up. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, hit that notification bell. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.